Mr. Bill Guy. What a welcome. Thank you. How many of you have jobs right now? Any kind of job? How many of you need to get a job? Okay. Of those that have jobs, how many of you love your job? Now let's be honest. Love your job. That's great if you do. By the way, those that did put their hand up and were being honest are probably not doing anything different than the rest of you, but they were luckier because the hiring process is broken. It's broken, and I know it because I've been doing recruiting for over 40 years. I'm in retained executive search. We're paid a lot of money to identify the best and the brightest. When we put the CEO in of Apple Computer, in today's dollars, that'd be $3 million a year that he got, and we get a third of that. Okay? So we're paid a lot of money to identify the best and the brightest. They usually have the best jobs already, with the best companies already, and yet it's easy for me to recruit them because they don't love their job. A few of them do, and when they do, I drill down, I find they didn't do anything different. Now, how many of you want to be entrepreneurs and not work for somebody else? Okay, but you probably will need a day job. Like actors, they say don't quit your day job. You may need a job while you're waiting for your IP to take off, right? So even you probably should be thinking about how to get a job you like rather than just a job. Number two, you're liked because they're impressed with you. Oh, you went to Harvard. Wow. Oh, you work for IBM. Wow. I got a really wild one. Oh, you're an Olympic athlete. Wow. Well, either you did go to Harvard, or you did work for IBM, or you were an Olympic athlete, or you were not. That's a given. There's not a lot you can do about that. Look at number three. If you do your homework, hello, you've been hearing that a lot. Thanks to LinkedIn, once you know who the officers are, and the managers, and maybe the name of the person with whom you're going to interview, hopefully he or she's on LinkedIn. You learn much more than you ever needed to know. You know what their interests are. If you look down below, you see what clubs or associations they're in. You may learn about their family, their hobbies. If they are not on LinkedIn, sometimes you can ask ahead of time the recruiter or the gatekeeper, the HR person, a little bit about the person with whom you're going to interview if it's the second interview after HR has screened you. If you walk into the person's office and they have pictures of golf courses on the wall, can you assume maybe they like golf? Now, I don't play golf at all, but I can carry a 10, 15-minute conversation about golf just from what I know about it. You're talking about some other subject matter, about their competition, about some concepts, even about golf, whatever. You want the lamp over something other than you. I'm the founder, and I built the largest recruiting firm in the world. Hello? 100 offices, so it's all geography, all industries, all functions, and some of my offices have contingencies, so all levels. Not once have I seen or heard of anybody, not once, who got rejected because they had a 3 or a 4-page resume. What's going to happen as you're 5 years out? You have too much to say, too many selling points, too many accomplishments, too many results to talk about, to put onto 2 pages. If you do, the font size gets annoyingly small. And they're only going to spend a few milliseconds the first time they look at your resume. They don't read them, they scan read them. And if it's annoying, it gets less milliseconds, trust me. So not now, but only so soon. 3 or 4 is fine. And there's a whole course on this which I'll give you guys free next year because my book is about to be released, and I'll give you all guys the books next year, okay? Which will tell you how to write the first page of your 2-page resume. None of you should have a 1-page. Even those of you that don't have any work experience, zero, nada, need to have more than 1 page. and I'll show you why next year. So you've got to come next year. If you'll have me back. All right? Got to give me a good score, right? Okay, another myth. Personnel or HR. Are any of you in HR right now? My apologies. My deepest apologies. Okay, I run the largest HR firm in the world, okay, so I'm including myself. We are not your friends. Recruiters are not your friends, particularly in a market like today. There's so much quantity of people who are underemployed, unemployed, unhappily employed, self-employed and don't wish to be, that all you have to do is run an ad or a job board and you get this many resumes, okay? HR's job is to reject. Oh, here's one, okay? Their job is more of a sculpturing away. And the odds are you won't have the perfect resume on paper. Okay? The best people don't write the best resumes. That's been my experience. Okay? So you want to avoid us. You want to avoid the screen. Even recruiters, it's even worse because our employers, our clients who are employers, put tighter specifications on us than they do on themselves because they're going to have to pay another third on top of what they pay you. So they want you to be exactly right, exactly what they're looking for on paper. You may be more qualified than the person who looks better on paper. So you don't want to come through us if you can avoid us. You want to come in the side door through networking. Harvard did a study during a healthy job market, found that 3/4 of job changes were not through recruiters, job boards, ads, direct mail. 3/4 of them were through networking. In this market, I bet you it's closer to 95% chances that you'll get the job you want, or even get a job you don't want, but get a job through networking. So you see how important what you've learned here is? It's not just cool, it's necessary. On the left side are reasons why people are not happy with their job. They were lured by money. There's nothing wrong with money, but they were lured by money. They were lured by the prestige of the organization, whereas the things on the right are what make you happy or more satisfied. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with looking at the left stuff, but please write things down and ask yourself about each of those. Can I have a sense of achievement? Will I have the opportunity to achieve? Will I enjoy what I'm doing? It won't be all fun and games, but will I enjoy the people? Will I enjoy what I'm doing? Will I have fun? Will I be contributing? Will I be having some adding worth, my self-worth to the team or my individual performance? I want you to do your homework. If it really is a good match and you're drilling into 10 companies at a time, you should find lots of reasons why it's right for you and lots of reasons why you're right for it. If there aren't a lot of reasons, it's not a good match. Now, you can still take the job if that's your only choice and you're out of money. But if you have a choice of waiting or you have a choice of two, take the one where there's lots of reasons. By the way, that ammunition, that information of why it's a good match becomes the content of your letters, the content of your resumes, and the content of your interviews. So you not only have a prettier resume, because all the books will tell you how to write a better looking resume, but you'll have better content. Okay? But the reason why this is more important is you can't package your way into the wrong environment if you've qualified it to be a good match. So that's why this is the more important side of it, doing your homework. Try a brand name firm. Even if you don't want to stay with them, it's going to look better on your resume than a non-brand name firm. If you're going to get a job, it's better it be with a chain like McDonald's than Joe's Bar and Grill. McDonald's looks better on your resume than Joe's Bar and Grill. They're both the restaurant industry. It could pay the same. It could be the same job, but it's going to look a lot better to have a brand name than a non-brand name. And if it's an internship, the same thing. Those of you that are students, and I think essentially 90% or 95% of you are students, don't emphasize where or when you had the accomplishment. On page 1 of your resume, you can talk about accomplishments divorced from where or when, just what they were. So if you helped your team, it could be a work team or a sports team, if you helped your team get better organized or be more efficient, What if it was a study team? When I read that, the word team, I'm thinking business. You didn't say sports team, you didn't say study team, you just said team. There were 6 of you in a class. It was a study group. You had an assignment. It was due by a certain date. The flu season hit, and 3 of the 6 of you got ill, totally ill. So the other 3 had to do the job of 6. And you still got it done on time. I don't care what grade you got. You improved the productivity of your team by how much? 100%. Help my team improve its productivity by 100% on page 1. And you have 8 or 9 of these on page 1. I'm already inclined to hire you, at least to bring you in if I've got a stack of resumes. Ooh, I want to meet her. Wow. I won't even remember what the numbers were. I just remember I saw several numbers that were impressive. She's highly accomplished. Now, if I have a bias against somebody who doesn't have work experience, and you had that on page 1, that you had very little work experience or you went right into your education, I would have rejected the resume. But if I'm already impressed with her, because I've read some of these accomplishments on page 1, and I now turn to page 2, if it's what I call a soft bias, I might see her anyway because I'm already hooked. I'm like a fish. I've already looked at the lure. I've already looked at the bait, and I'm gone for it. Now, in that analogy, if it's a hard bias and I get to page 2, I'm going to unhook myself and swim away. You're taking those employers that might have not put you in the good pile, because there's a few that will anyway and a few that will never. But most are in the middle. You're shifting some of those in your direction, with page 1 being divorced from where or when. And then you can talk about whatever internships or work experience or no work experience, go right into your education on page 2. But at least you've had a chance to hook some of these people in the middle. Why advertise the negative? Why say, okay, I've only worked for them for 2 days. No, you don't advertise the negative. So don't put the months. You don't have to. It's not a court of law where you have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I want you to tell the truth. Always tell the truth. But you don't have to tell the whole truth. I see resumes where it says, did not graduate. You don't have to, you don't have to give full disclosure, okay? Or the word attended. Just put the name of the school, location, and what the major was. They know you attended it. You don't have to use negative words. Yeah, HR will probably tell you different things than I'm telling you because they'll tell you what they like to receive. I'm a marketing person. I'm telling you what works. All right.
All right, thank you.
The people you want are the ones that don't respond to help wanted ads, are not on the job boards. If they were, my job would be easy in headhunting. I just run ads all the time. For 40 years, I found the final candidate, the best candidate, almost always doesn't even have a resume, let alone be on the job boards or answering ads, because they already have been promoted or recruited into a good job. Doesn't mean you can't recruit them to something that's even better, but they're not looking. When we interview, we're seeing the interview appearance and personality and style. And let's face it, the job seeker or the applicant or the candidate that you're interviewing should be on his or her best behavior. And you should be on your best behavior. The example I like to give is Ross Perot. Now, the young people don't even know who Ross is. How many of you have gray hair? I mean, how many of you know who Ross Perot is? Okay. If I were Ross Perot and I wanted to hire you, I'd be in a selling mode. I'd be Dr. Jekyll. And you look me in the eye, I'm really Dr. Jekyll at this moment. But after you're on the payroll, you see Mr. Hyde. That's the employer side. Same thing's true on the prospective employee side. The most important part of the hiring process, and I'm considered an expert in hiring. I'm considered really good at reading people. I know when I'm getting BS. I don't know what truth is, but I know when I'm not getting it because I interview the C-level of the major companies. They're usually maybe not smarter. They may have a lower IQ, but they're very manipulative. And they're very, very smooth at that. As good as I think I am at interviewing, it's not the most important part of my job, nor yours. It's reference checking. You need to spend more time, probably at least 20 minutes, just to get the reference to let their hair down. Now, I've heard this, oh, well, all you get is name, rank, and serial number. I've been doing this for 4 decades. I get dirt from friends, or at least dust from friends. You can get truth if you know how to do it. You've got to spend more than 10 minutes because friends don't want to hurt their friends, enemies don't want to get sued. You also have to build trust in you if you're making the referencing, if you're doing the referencing, and in the process. If the person's on the other end who has some knowledge about this, they fear you're going to write up what you say, and that'll be seen by the candidate if they're hired. So don't write it up as a single report. If you talk to 3 former bosses, 3 former peers, 3 former subordinates, because that tells you a lot. If it's a B2B business, 3 customers, former or current customers, and 3 suppliers. That's 5 times 3, that's 15 phone calls. And I spend an hour each. You don't have to do that. But the higher levels, it's worth it. It's important. But if you'll do that, if you'll spend enough time and put them all into one report with the names in the back of the report and the comments in the front, divorced from who said what, and you tell the reference that, you'd be surprised how candid they might be if you're not going to give attribution. And there's some other things that you need to tell them. But if you can build trust in the process as well as yourselves, you're going to get some truth. Now here's the other problem. If the person really is a rock star, and you ask the stupid question, what are his faults or what are her faults? In their mind, on an A to F scale, a fault is a D or an F. Well, guess what? Rock stars very often don't have any Ds or Fs. So you're getting garbage in, garbage out. If you say, what are their faults? So you don't do that. Before you make the phone call, you make a list of maybe 15 things that are important. Skills, attitudes, values. And I've never had anybody balk at doing this. You say, just very quickly, I'd like you to grade this person from A to F, A being best, communication skills, written communication skills, oral communication skills, et cetera, and they won't give them straight A's. They'll give them an A minus, an A, a B plus, an A, a C plus. Now you know the valleys. They're not weaknesses, they're weaker suits. And they're just as important for you to know in qualifying in rather than just qualifying out. So reference checking. I want all of you to become expert reference checkers. Very often we think we're going to buy somebody. Trouble is, if you offer them a better title or more money than they're making currently, guess what? Somebody else will buy them away sooner or later. If that's what lures them to you, they'll get lured away. Years ago, J.W. Marriott was building a chain, hotel chain. He had a restaurant chain, but he also was building a hotel chain. And I was trying to do recruiting in the hospitality industry. For the life of me, I couldn't recruit people, or it was very difficult to recruit people from Marriott. Not because they were overpaid. They were not overpaid. They were overloved. They were treated like family. Some of them were family, but they were all treated like family. JW would get on the phone and personally wish you a happy birthday. Personally, how's your brother doing at the hospital? And during the holidays, I wanted to personally call you and wish you a happy holiday. I mean, they really felt loved. Now his sons, Bill and Dick, were better trained in business, but they weren't. They lost a little bit of that. So it went from great to not quite so great, but it didn't go down here. But if you want to attract and retain rock stars, don't do it with money. Do it with the things that get to their heart. If it is a good match, besides bringing them into family, they have to fit the family, right? They have to have qualities and skills and attitudes and values that match yours and vice versa. There'll never be a perfect match, but you need to look deeper than how good they interview, how attractive they are, how sharp they are, where they've been before. That's a real interesting one. I can show you losers from Disney or Procter & Gamble or any of the big companies that are carried by those companies. They also have great people too. They have rock stars, but a lot of times we interview based on credentials. If you start taking off like Apple did, or Cisco did, or Google did, prestige may attract the wrong people. It could be power, it could be location, it's closer to home, or more leisure time. Here are what I think are the factors that will make particularly the millennials work for you. And let's face it, we got them as customers and as employees. I know there's some millennials here, but what we've learned from Metal, from the presenters, is that what's attractive to them are companies that have social
values, not just social responsibility. You can buy that, look like that, but social values, like the, Chipotle, the Crow Factory. You all need to see that. It's cool. But that was a lot of money spent for that, but it's showing social values. They want to buy from companies like that, and they want to work for companies like that. They probably want to be a Steve Jobs or a Bill Gates and just work for you long enough till their IP takes off. So why not be an incubator? Why not be a Procter & Gamble? From a recruiter standpoint, we're the beneficiary of Disney, higher hiring standards. They hire really good people, train them well. Procter & Gamble, hire real good people, train them well. And they know they're going to lose a lot, but they also get to keep a lot. And because they treat them like family, they might stay an extra year or 2 or 3. So that's a lesson to all of us, all right? Don't be afraid of them leaving. Help them. If you help them, they're not going to surprise you one day. You're going to know 6 months, 12 months in advance because you're mentoring them for their IP or for the next job. Be smart. You know they're going to think that way. So what is in this case, what does the employee want, all right? When I call a source and I say I want this, 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 and this, they'll translate that and they'll do it for you too. Oh, you want somebody good. So I learned a long time ago to go back through the list. Is he this? No. Is he this? Yes, yes, no, and no. Oh, okay. Well, can you give me a suggestion of somebody that has at least 4 of these things? If you don't ask that question, you're going to end up with somebody who's probably interviews well, was highly recommended, but they didn't fit your criteria. By the way, PepsiCo did something for keeping rock stars called phantom shares. How many of you are familiar with phantom shares? Okay. I'll explain it later because there isn't time, but basically you're not doing equity sharing, you're doing profit sharing. It's as though they owned the shares, but if they leave 2 or 3 years from now, the shares don't walk with them because they don't really own them. But you're very generous in giving dividends to all the shares, including your own, and so it really becomes lucrative for them to stay and harder to leave if money is driving them. But if they do leave, they're not walking with your equity. I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you very much.